Hey everybody, Jonathan Broadbent here. Today is Tuesday, October 31st, 2023, and I am just a few minutes tardy, just a few minutes after 5 o'clock, because, in case you didn't know it, I'm involved in the precinct strategy. So Dan Schultz and I do a Twitter space. I should probably pause and define Twitter Spaces. So, if you're not familiar with Twitter, Twitter has sort of a call feature that's called Spaces, and it's like a big, think of it like a big group call, and you can have thousands of people. And twice a week, a gentleman by the name of Dan Schultz and we do a Twitter Space. We host this call, and I had no idea that this thing would fill up today. We had Scott Pressler came into this space that I started up. I've gotten to know him a little bit, and I think it was Scott Pressler coming in. A huge wave, a lot of people showed up. It was a big crowd today, and that ran a little bit long, so I'm a few minutes tardy, but I'm also kind of excited about that, and it gave me a chance to drop the term precinct strategy. You should know about it if you follow me on Twitter or come and find me. I am, what's my handle? At JR Broadbent on Twitter. Come and find me and check out precinct strategy because it's good and important, and it's a part of the fight for us to reclaim America. But on to UnWoke. Oh boy. So I had a conversation earlier today with a law firm. And if you followed any of the stuff that talked about weaponized regulators, the environment for those of us in the professional world who are not woke and are not left is difficult. It's an uncomfortable sort of environment. We have a lot of people out there that I call weaponized regulators. These are governmental organizations and non-governmental entities that do a very good job of strong arming small businesses, sometimes crushing us, sometimes driving us out of business. A good friend who was in business for 36 years, she had no complaints, but she did advocate strongly for non-left things like leaving kids alone and not trying to mask kids in schools and trying to stop mandatory jabs in schools and stuff. Well, her regulators and her business, they actually came and shut her down. So I make a point, in addition to speaking with a number of different people that I know in the world of finance, also talking to lawyers, because yes, there are some good lawyers out there. Just like all these other places that have gone berserk and wokadoodle, we've got healthcare that just fell all over themselves for all these mandates and jabs and experimental mRNA and all that stuff. That's really coming back to roost. That's coming back to haunt a lot of people. And there are even some videos out now. They're suppressed, but you can find them, of people who are professional who kind of bought into it for a while and then realized the harm that it brings and have apologized. Same thing with education. There are a lot of teachers out there who are great, phenomenal teachers, and they're very vocal about not appreciating this gender theory and trying to blend and blur boys and girls together, the pornography that's being pumped into schools, and the race baiting, all that stuff. So in this conversation earlier today, I brought all this stuff up with this with a woman that runs this law firm, and I singled them out because they're an independent law firm, which makes it at least a little more likely in theory that they might not be all bought into this stuff and might be supportive of we the people and independence and freedoms and liberties, and be able to help fight back against these rogue entities, these governmental organizations that pressure us. And I'm included in that. In case you didn't know, I have, since March of 2022, it's October 2023, since March of 22, I have been under examination. In case you're listening and not watching, that's an air quote. I'm air quoting that. I've been under examination. I've gone back and forth a whole bunch of times. It's still not done. At one for a short period of time, my regulators shut me down. They closed my business. I had to fight my way back into business. I'm not accused of anything. There's no accusation of wrongdoing. I have that in writing, and it's the most bizarre thing. But they will just keep digging. It's a scavenger hunt. It's a witch hunt. They're hoping, I'm certain, to find something. So far, they've found exactly nothing. They keep digging. In my conversation with this law firm, I could tell pretty much right away this particular conversation substantiated a theory that I have. And my theory is that we saw public awareness shift and the dam start to break. Really, I think in a big way, starting with education. So you look at the left lean of news media, Hollywood, TV production, mainstream news, all these different sort of facets and these pillars of our community. Pretty much everything that we're becoming aware that pretty much everything has some incentive to lean left, or has a strong push to lean left. I think that one of the first major awakenings that happened was in education. And I think that's a silver lining to the whole COVID thing that happened. All over the country, parents saw what their kids were being exposed to and subjected to. And that was a major alarm bell, waking people up. And a lot of people woke up to call them mama bears. Then we saw this weird back and forth backlash. There are lots of people that started showing up for school board meetings and then trying to ask questions. And then the school boards, they spent massive amounts of time, energy, lawyers, and resources lying to the people, trying to say that things that were happening weren't happening, and that things that are being taught really weren't being taught. It was horrible. So that anger kind of elevated and went up to the point where the U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland issued a statement basically claiming that concerned parents are domestic terrorists. In case you missed that, that actually happened. You should go and look it up. There was a release. I think it's sort of scaled back because of public backlash, but it still exists, and it has not been rescinded by the U.S. Attorney General. But as we become aware of compromised pillars of our society, like healthcare, pharmaceutical, education, even policing. There's a movie that came out last week. I think it was Dinesh D'Souza, called Police State, that talks about the weaponization and the takeover of police by federal governmental organizations to do bad things. I think that's what it's about. I haven't seen it yet. Now, here's my point. I predict that finance, where a lot of money is being made, is going to be the second to the last to wake up and realize the harm that's being inflicted by things like ESG, CBDC, and all this woke left stuff. And I suspect that the very last element of society, the very last professional group that is going to wake up and realize the harm that has been inflicted and is being inflicted upon the people are law firms. I think the legal world is going to be the very last thing, because they are the leading edge of the sword, if you will. All this lawfare, all the manipulation of markets, all the control, the artificial control that's being exerted on boards like school boards to try and scare them into submission and get them to go along with extreme far left Marxist communist types of endeavors. It's all coming out of law firms. It is under the banner of of law, under what's the term? It's under the color of law, and it's false. But there's a lot of power and money behind it. So in the fight to go unwoke, I want to clarify my statement today. There are a number of things that need to be chipped away at. Healthcare, pharmaceutical, police, education, and certainly finance. We're going to cut the head off the snake. We're going to defund the woke, using their term from the left back at them. Defund the woke. Put another way, remember, know where you donate, invest, and spend. We call it Dis the Left. But I'm also making a prediction in today's live stream. My prediction is that law firms are going to be the very last thing that we're able to wrangle back to we the people. And a stop along the way are going to be these bar associations. It's bar association, a lot of them. You look at what California Bar Association is doing right now, and the Georgia, what is it, the Fulton County? It's terrible. So be aware of these things. Stay unwoke, my friends. Follow UnWoke. Tell your friends. Take a look at what you've got. And by all means, send questions in. We want to answer questions, help get people pointed in the right direction, and let's defund the woke. Go unwoke starting today.